80% of artists in the music game don't know they need an LLC to operate with. And on top of that, they don't know how to leverage it for the one thing they need, which is money. And this is why many struggle working to continue to grind. So we know this story far too well over here at Music Money Makeover. But if you want to get support for your journey in the music game, tune in to today's episode of the Music Money Makeover Show. Now, usually when you all are getting started and I talk about this stuff, you come at me with the exclamation of, wait, you can actually get money for your LLC like that? Did you know that banks can issue you a line of credit for up to 30% of your income from the previous year? And if you're generating over $100,000 in total revenue, banks may offer you a $30,000 line of credit to cover business expenses, hired labor, or just new products that will help you grow your record label's profits. Plus, you can write off the interest on that loan. So waiting to use your own money might slow your growth, but using the bank's funds can accelerate your progress significantly. And this is what I really want to express here: the power of using other people's money. So for instance, you were going to go to a record label at some point, but the bank's money is easier to get and easier to use in some instances, which I'm going to talk about the easier method to get in a minute. We're talking about lines of credit right now. But record labels, their loan is based on a very, very high interest rate, okay? And that's just the money part. That's not what you have to do to pay it back. The truth is, with record labels and their contracts, it is a labor contract. Labor contracts must be paid back for anything that was loaned to you with labor. So that means that if they give you $200,000, you can't just say, hey man, we made $200,000 on some shows over here. Let me just write you a check and clear that debt out. It ain't going like that. They're going to say, no, you got to do $200,000 worth of labor to get out this sucker. So essentially, you're on the plantation. It is an indentured servitude contract. I don't care how nice they are and all of that. But if you're doing it independently, you might be able to work that negotiation tactic in. So anytime somebody gets into an independent deal, I always say, give me the clause of allowing me to pay this money back without any strings attached, without no labor attached, so I can clear the debt. I'd rather do that than to have to sit up here and stay in debt to you by producing more labor for you. So it's a lot easier to go to the bank and say, hey man, this is what I made on my own. I'm just leveraging what I made. Give me some money on it. Now, if you're not at the step right there, we'll talk about an easier way for you to get money in your beginning stages in a few minutes. Well, that's a unique way to think of debt, you might say. Well, the truth about banks is that they primarily make money on fees and interest. So therefore, if you use a credit card in the first 12 to 18 months, you're essentially using free money to gain assets. So while this may sound risky, it's not, as long as you can repay the money within that time frame. If you do this, banks will give you more access to capital. And even if you have to pay interest, it's not substantial on amounts of $20,000 and below. So utilizing this strategy with your record label LLC can help it grow exponentially. Here's the kicker. You can get as many cards as possible within 30 days of the first application before it's reported on your business and personal credit. So never forget this easy leveraging tactic to grow your music and your music career. You see what I'm saying? So let me express it to you. If I'm a bank and I have $10,000 for you, and let's just say my credit card is at 27%. So the offer is this: I'm going to sell you $10,000 for $2,700. And if you would take it at the rate of $2,700, meaning you give me $2,700, I give you $10,000, then your mind is in the right place, because ultimately you're thinking about, how much is this $10,000 worth? Is it worth it for me to give this bank $2,700 for $10,000 to go and flip and use and leverage and build and grow way faster? Then guess what? It would take me to work my job and save up $10,000. I just need $10,000 to go and flip. You front me 10K and I can bring back 20, pay you your $2,700 back, and I take my profit. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. But now the bank says, you know what, man, I believe in you so much because of your personal credit and how you've done with your finances. I'm gonna give you this money for free. You don't have to pay me $2,700 until 12 months after, 18 months after in some cases, if they still offer 18-month cards at this point, or if you find one. So that to me sounds like a really good deal. We're not even at the line of credit status. You didn't have to make $100,000. Only thing you had was good personal credit, and you started your record label LLC with the 60-day record label course beneath this video. that I'm going to talk about later. Walk into a bank, you ask for the card, put down your personal guarantee on good credit. You take your 10K, you put it into the business, you go flip it, you pay it back within 12 months, and then you can come back to the bank. And I guarantee if you're gonna flip that 10K, you can come back to that bank, they're gonna boost that card up to 15 or even 20,000. I don't know about you, man. I'm trying to get to the money and I'm trying to avoid the record label until we can come to an agreement and do a partnership on a really good deal. All right? Let's keep going. Well, banks can do that with your LLCs, masters. Well, hold up, man. What you talking about here? This is what I'm talking about. The biggest myth about banks is that they don't just lend you money for money's sake, but they also can lend you money based on cash flowing assets. I'm talking about your masters here. Because if you walk into a bank and say your masters are generating $8,300 a month, they will lend you money based on that asset as long as you can show proof of it. All right. And if you do this, you can achieve massive heights in your music career very fast. However, if you're still on the fence about it, you must remember that you can't get time back, but you can always get more money. Now, there's a twofold situation in this case. If your masters are generating $8,300 a month, yes, you absolutely can walk into a bank and say, look at what I'm doing right now on the masters. Of course, the bank is going to want 12 months, but you can also take that same documentation and go find you a private investor and get the same amount of money with less headache and paperwork. So whereas the bank will say, I'll give you the money for interest, but instead of giving you that free window, the bank will say, hey, you got to start paying me interest on the first month after you take my money. That's no problem, but we got way more money. Because again, the bank is going to give us up to 30% of our income or a little bit more depending on, how generous and nice they are and the relationship and all that. You can also go to a private investor and the private investor will say, hey man, look, I don't necessarily want interest back on my money, but you could give them interest back on their money if you're an honest person. But they may say, well, hey, look, I want a portion of the rights. I don't necessarily want a deal with you, but I need to know that you have an accountant that can make sure that I get paid, and I'll give you the 30K for 10% of your album, which means I value your album at $300,000 for that 10%. Or if you give them 20% at $30,000, that means your album is worth $150,000. But either way, that's some advanced math. But either way, I'm gonna give you the 30K, you give me 10% of your album, and then we'll call it even. And I take 10% ownership, 30K is yours, you pay me back through the 10%, and we'll call it macaroni. Now we're doing some creative financing. I'm giving y'all a lot of game this video, boy. Anyway, I'm gonna let it keep rolling. But I guarantee you this, some funding is on the way to all the music money makers out there. I'm gonna throw that hint out there. I got some tricks in my sleeve and in my bag, so you better be tuned for it. So let's keep going into this thing right here. So you might say, what if I haven't made $100,000 in the last 12 months in my business? Because I know a lot of you all haven't. But don't let that stop you, because credit cards are still available and small loans are available as well, like PayPal's loans. Okay, you can use the credit to get you up to the 100K, then go back to the bank and then you can get the line of credit or to the private investor. But what if the monthly payments get too high, man? I'm scared about this credit thing, man. Well, the only reason you're asking this question is likely due to anxiety about succeeding and owning your own record label. All right. While it's important to be responsible with credit, anxiety alone isn't a good reason to avoid this strategy. Because if you shy away from this process, it'll take you much longer for your record label to grow. Leveraging other people's money can put you in the game and on track a whole lot faster than working a job and hoping to pay for everything yourself. It will. Now, I know, let me add some context around this, that if you do get this money early, I do want to say that, and I said this in previous videos on the channel about using business credit for your record label, that you only want to use it to flip something so that you can pay it back in 12 months. The risk that a lot of people take, that I've seen that take this method, that I've given them either privately or I just see people who've done this method because they've opened up other businesses, is that there's not enough data to measure the outcome of your first project, because there's so much in the learning curve that you gotta learn to yield a profit on your first project or first few singles, that you're probably not gonna be able to pay that money back. So I would not necessarily spend the money on music until I got to my third independent project. Then I would use the bank's money to do that. From the beginning stages, I would finance it with my own money first, because at least if I lose that money, I'm not on the hook for it. But the only way I will let you off the hook for that and funding it from the very beginning is if you had a very, very detailed strategy and you said, hey, I'm not going to use $10,000 on this first project. we're really only going to spend $1,500, or I'm going to use the bank's money and we're going to figure out how to drop this first album at a rate of $1,000 per month, and then we'll begin to turn it over monthly. Or we're going to utilize $500 a month to fuse into the business. And then from there, we're going to start flipping that $500. If any reason in 3 months we cannot flip $1,500, we'll cut it off and then we'll go back to using our own money. So this is called being responsible and kind of weighing your risk here. We could go more deeper into this on another video, but I'm just saying those are ways that you can kind of hedge the bet. All right. What if all my masters do well 1 year but fall the next? Hear me out on this. You're essentially asking what happens if you fail. However, banks lend money based on agreed upon terms. So once approved, you can use the funds for the duration of the loan term, even if your income has a dip in 30 days after signing the loan. So don't let anxiety about potential future setbacks prevent you from accessing the capital you need to grow today. It is true. Your income statements are great. All right. You come in the bank, you are doing what you're supposed to do. Income drops. Something happens, music comes out, it's whack. Something happens public relations wise where people start not liking you no more, but you know how to bounce back from it. You still got the money and you just kind of got to pull back on it. The point is, you still got the money. You get the card, you still got the card. You get the line of credit, you still got the line of credit. Just cut it off. It's like, yo, stop the draft. Let's not pull. The bank's still gonna give us our money. We still got the cards and the line. We winning. And I'm gonna say this. You definitely wanna look at your interest rates. I'm giving so much game. Oh my God. You definitely wanna look at the interest rates on these cards and these lines of credit. But when it's offered to you, see if you can go get it, because it's not gonna take you that long to get to $100,000 in funding. It's what's the plan to flip it and pay it back. That's $100,000, not in money and cash. That's $100,000 in leverage for the seesaw, okay? You got $100,000 in leverage independently. You can do some damage if you know what you're doing. You got a team and you got a plan. Here's what you can do. If you're a music creative or executive looking to build your label or publishing company in 60 days or less with a step-by-step foolproof process, grab my 60-day record label course beneath this video and get it done right now today. You'll gain the ability to get real funding that we've been talking about this whole video, prevent yourself from getting screwed contractually, and keep the middleman out of your pockets. Click the link below to get started right now. And if you're skeptical, grab the free guide and the mini course, 10 ways to increase your record label's profits, because a free split sheet does come with that download, so you can make sure you get all the money back through publishing the way you need to get it. But here is your payoff with all of this stuff, man, because I want you to win. Funding your music career will get you off the ground faster. Getting off the ground faster puts you in the game where you want to be. Better positioning in the game puts you in the running to become world renowned. The whole thing about using money and leverage for your LLC is becoming the person you need to be. And sometimes you just need to put your money where your mouth is before you use somebody else's money to put your money where it should go. If you cannot get over the hump, all of the negative attributes that went along with credit that you got from your family and all this other stuff, why do you think that you can make it through a record deal? You can't, because you have to ultimately become the person that is brave enough to go apply for the card. Then say, you know what? I want to manage this money right. Then get the accounting software to do it. You know what I mean? Then if I can't run the accounting software, I go get an accountant or a bookkeeper to help me do it, because I want to win and I want to succeed on that vision that I have for the world so I can change the world. I want to become who I need to be so I can handle $100 million financially. If I want to handle $100 million financially, I need to become the person that can handle $2,000 credit card responsibly. Step it up, step it up, step it up. Now here is the cost of failure here. Financing it yourself, even if you have the money, will cause you to burn through your support capital. And once this happens to you, you'll start to worry that you can't keep going. And this will put so much mental pressure on you that creating becomes cumbersome. So now you don't have any savings left. You burn through the savings and now you're trying to figure out, well, dang, I gotta keep going back to work to get this money to create, and hopefully I'll survive. But if you were struggling with using credit cards, lines of credit, or your masters to fund your record label without royalty advances or record labels, you now have the means to be truly independent from the label system. Music money makers, if you make music, you should always make money. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com, jump into the 60-day record label course beneath this video, grab the free stuff. If you're skeptical, smash the like button, drop a comment, share this video with everybody, and guess what? I'll see you next time. Peace.